I'm going to show you something beautiful. People screaming for mercy. I know you're good people. I know you mean well, but you just don't think it through. There's only one path to peace. Your extinction. You want to protect the world, but you don't want it to change. You're all puppets. Puppets tangled in strings. Strings. There are no strings on me.
Hi, this is Trepacer. Welcome to Trepacer Saturday Reviews, episode 105, I believe. As promised, in my vlog that I did this morning, I went to see Chappie, and there's my ticket stub for that. There's Chappie. Okay. And I also got home in time to watch a movie, The Theory of Everything. I'll do the Chappie review first, since I went to see that first. Okay, Chappie, of course, is directed by, written and directed by Neil Blomkamp. I think that's the proper way to pronounce his name. Of course, he did District 9 and what's the other one? The one with I'm sorry, the one with Matt Damon, and he's going to do the Alien reboot as well. And Chappie is a story set in the near future, I think in South Africa, and basically the police, kind of out of control. They get the police to, they have these robots actually doing the patrolling from this corporation, and Sigourney Weaver is the president of that corporation, and these droids are working out great. They reduce the crime's basically down to nothing. Okay, and also you have Dev Patel. He plays Dion Wilson. He's like a programmer who came up with the program for these bots that control the crime basically in the in the country, South Africa, and they get all these orders. The company is hugely successful, and it's going to get rolled out to other countries. They have orders for other countries. And Hugh Jackman plays Vincent Moore, an ex-cop who's an engineer who has this big program called the Moose, but the police don't want that because that's big and lumbering and expensive. They're happy with the robots that they have. Okay, and also at the same time, Dion Wilson is interested in just going beyond the normal, police robots. He wants to create something that akin to artificial intelligence, something that has a brain that can think for itself and learn and can learn and evolve like a human child. Okay, and he works on he's working on developing that. And like I said, at the same time, Hugh Jackman is getting his this big moose program that he wants, this big moose robot that he wants to roll out. But Sigourney Weaver is not having it. She plays Michelle Bradley, the president of the company, and she doesn't. She said that that's too expensive, and plus the police commanders don't want it. So he's kind of angry about that. He's wearing a mullet as well, but he's angry about that. But also at the same time, you have these criminals. I guess you call it three criminals. One's called the America Yankee, and then there's Yolandi, and then there's Ninja, and they're like small-time criminals, and they owe a bigger criminal money. I think they say like $7 million or something, some $7 million, something like that, some large amount of money. I don't know if it's exactly $7 million, but they owe him that money, and he basically gives them 7 days to get it. So what they come up with, they decide, they see the police robots, and they figure, hey, we can get the guy that, they see a report about these robots, and they see, of course, this is the engineer that, played by Dev Patel, Dion Wilson, who created these. They figure out if we can kidnap him and get him to show us how to turn these robots off, we can go ahead and plan a crime and get the money to pay this guy back before he kills us. Okay? And so basically, Dion he perfects this artificial intelligence, and he's going to put it in the robot. He gets kidnapped by these criminals and then he basically asked him to show them the off switch for these robots, and he said, well, there's no off switch for them. They're always on. There's no off switch for them. And he said, but listen, I got this robot here in the back that I'm programming. I'm going to try to give it, teach it, and learn it to grow. and which he does, but and a kind of a weird thing, they kind of let him go away with the promise that he can come back later. And then meanwhile, the criminals are teaching Chappie, teaching him things, and Dev Patel comes back, and he also teaches, teaches his thing at the same time. And of course, Hugh Jackman, of course, he plays a bad guy in this, and he basically decides that the only way to get his big moose, gigantic robot operational is to basically shut down the robots, and you got that going on, and at the same time you have, they spend a lot of time with these criminals, training Chappie basically how to act like them and talk like them, and be a gangster. And there's even like a funny sequence where they basically teach him how to jack cars and stuff, which is funny. And this movie overall, this movie is okay. It's not the best, but I was entertained by it. I think the movie's a little too long, okay, but I still was entertained, although some of the things that happen in the movie don't make any logical sense. Like having Dev Patel come back to the robot he created, Chappie. They come by and let him teach it, and then they basically kick him in the butt, and he goes away, and then he comes back, and that's kind of weird. And like I said, Hugh Jackman, he plays a good villain in this. He's a real dick, to be perfectly frank. And he plays a good villain. And Charlotte Copley does, he does the I guess the motion capture for Chappie, and you do feel for the Chappie character himself, because he's trying to learn things, and he gets taught how to be a criminal at the same time, and at the same time, Dev Patel is trying to teach him not to be bad and not to be, and you have these shootouts, and you have Hugh Jackman coming on is the bad guy in this, and like I said, it was an entertaining movie. Like I said, it's a little too long, but I did find it entertaining, and it keeps your interest. But I still think District 9 is the best thing that this what's his name, that Neil Blomkamp has done. I guess I think the 3 movies that he's done so far, I think District 9 is the best. Like I said, this movie is 120 minutes, 2 hours. They could have probably cut off a good 10 to 20 minutes of it. 100 minutes would have been okay. But it was there were moments, like when Chappie is getting taught how to be a gangster, which are unintentionally hilarious. Okay, but the basic plot of him is basically Chappie trying to learn things and become, and be, learn things and be human. That's the whole purpose of why Dev Patel's character. And I kind of wish that he was, that the criminal part would have been left out. But it is what it is, because I believe those actors that played the criminals are a part of some pop band and stuff that got hired just to to be the criminals in this. They're not the best actors in the world, but like I said, Chappie, the character, is funny in itself. Okay, but I was entertained. But I was saying, Neil Blomkamp, if I rank him, just is the best thing he's done. Then I like I can't think of the movie with Matt Damon. I forgot the name of the one with Matt Damon. I think I would rank that one, and then Chappie. I guess if we go in the order of how I like the movies. So I'm gonna give Chappie a 7 out of 10. It was entertaining, okay, and it had a good message, but it got kind of bogged down with the, kind of lingered on a little bit too long. And like I said, Hugh Jackman played a good villain. He could play a good bad guy, and maybe in the future he'll play more bad guy roles. Who knows? But because he's real good at it, and you want to see him get his ass kicked, Hugh Jackman, because he's just a dick. Okay, but it was entertaining. Would I recommend you go see Chappie? Yeah, I recommend you go see it. It's worth seeing. Like I said, I don't think it's the best movie that he's ever done, Neil Blomkamp, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the Alien franchise. But I think this one, out of the 3 that I mentioned, District 9 is the best one. I can't think of the Matt Damon one to save my life. I like that one a lot better than people. I know a lot of people kind of hated on that one, but I like that one. And then I guess Chappie would be the 3rd one. Okay, so that's my review of Chappie, and I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Okay, now the next movie I saw was, of course, nominated for 4 for Best Picture, I think Best Actor and Best Actress. Okay, and so I'm gonna talk about The Theory of Everything. Okay, came out last year. This is a story of what's his name? Stephen Hawking. Okay, and it starts with him at college at Cambridge. Okay, and it's basically the relationship between him and his wife. Okay, and like I said, Eddie Redmayne got nominated for Best Actress. Felicity Jones got nominated for Best Actress, and I think he got nominated for Best Picture too, as well. Okay, so this was directed by James Marsh. Now, and this is basically starts with him in Cambridge. Okay, and where he's studying, he's studying to be a physicist, I think at the time, right? Hold on, let me just make sure. Hold on. He's studying to be studying Cambridge in the 60s, and I think he's studying cosmology. That's what he was studying. Okay, but of course, while he meets his wife, and what's her name in this movie? I think she plays Jane. Yeah, he meets Jane. They fall in love and stuff. But of course, he notices that his hands start shaking, and he's not as steady on his feet. And one day he just absolutely collapses, and that's when he gets diagnosed with ALS, or commonly known in America as Lou Gehrig's disease. Okay, and they give him basically 2 years to live. Okay, and of course, he's devastated by that, and he kind of shuts himself off from Jane and kind of hides out until she kind of forces his hand, to tell him, and then she finds out exactly what's wrong with him, and she vows that, she even tells his parents that, listen, I know people don't think I'm strong enough, but I love him and I'll stick with him to the end, no matter how long he has. And of course, that's when he also comes up with his theory. He actually studied physics, and he comes up with his theory of the universe, and he becomes world famous. And this basically also shows their personal life. They go on to have 3 kids and live a life, and he lives, of course, longer than the initial 2-year diagnosis. And a lot of people attributed that to his, that he had a great support system, and the great love of his, of a good woman. And so, plus he had his work. So it actually, a lot of people think that pushed him on. But this movie is they show that it's like, but it's more on the personal side as well. They show a lot of their, their day-to-day life and the struggle that goes on with, because his disease gets progressively worse. He first, he starts out, with the cane, and then he gets into the wheelchair, and then he gets, his condition gets worse and worse as it goes along, and basically their struggle to deal with that and all the ramifications they're in. And I have to say, Eddie Redmayne, I didn't see this before he won the Academy Award, obviously, but he gave a fantastic performance as Dr. Stephen Hawking. He was really good. You saw his whole body, just basically transformed from, when you first see him, and he's kind of shy and gawky and awkward, and then he's, his body gets, as his condition worsens and worsens over the movie, you see him, his body contort, and he just gives a riveting performance, and he really, it was a powerful performance. And now I see why he won the Academy Award, because he's absolutely fantastic in the part of Stephen Hawking. So kudos to him. And also Felicity Jones, I thought she was fantastic too as Jane. While she had to be strong for him and strong for her family, and all the things she had to go through. And of course, they have the personal drama too, which I don't want to spoil. But there's personal drama issues that come up within this, and I think they work well together, Felicity Jones and Eddie Redmayne, and this movie will make you tear up as well. There's a lot of good things, but I think what's that message that he says? Where there's life, there's hope, and this movie really does give you that sense, because he's just, a fantastic, he proved that he didn't let the disease beat him. He kept going on and living with the support, of his wife and family. He really, achieved great things and became world renowned. And it's a powerful film, and I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, it's emotional, and it'll really get to you, and just great performances by the lead and excellent direction. So I definitely give The Theory of Everything. I really like this. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. It's just a really enjoyable film. I definitely highly recommend you see Theory of Everything. It's really heartfelt, and you have to have a stone heart not to get all emotional when you're watching this, because it really gets you right here when you watch this, and I really enjoyed this. I definitely recommend this, and I can guess and see why Eddie Redmayne won best actor. He really gave a great performance. Okay, and they have in the bonus feature, they basically talk about becoming, the Hawkins. They talk about what Eddie Redmayne and Felicity Jones, how they met the real life people, and how they went about preparing for their parts. And it's really interesting to watch on the Blu-ray. And this is on the bonus feature. So I definitely would recommend this. And I give Theory of Everything an 8 out of 10. Highly recommend it. Definitely see this. Okay, now Chappie, which I saw this morning, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It was enjoyable, and it was funny at parts and stuff, and also kind of tragic in other parts. A little bit too long, because it's 120 minutes, it's 2 hours, and it did feel kind of long, but I still was entertained. I don't think it's the best Neil Blomkamp movie. I still think that's District 9, and Elysia, I think Elysium, that's a movie with Matt Damon. I couldn't remember the name of it. I like that one a lot more than other people. I know a lot of people didn't like that one. So I would, and then Chappie, I guess that would be the order of those movies of his movie, Neil Blomkamp, that I like. Okay, I think Elysium, Chappie was a good movie. It wasn't the best. Okay, I still think District 9 is his best movie. And then Elysium, which I really liked. I know a lot of people didn't like that, but I liked Elysium. And then I put Chappie third. Okay, again, like I said, there's a little bit too long, and those musicians who played the gangsters were really annoying. Okay, but yeah, and it is what it is. But Hugh Jackman played a good villain. You really wanted to punch him in the face. That's it. So he played his part well. Okay, and I enjoyed Chappie, so I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Would I recommend see it? Yeah, go see it. It'll make you laugh, and there's heartfelt moments in it as well. And it's a little too long, but it's still entertaining. So I recommend you go see it if you want to go see it. If you want to wait to go, until it comes on video, that's okay as well. But I enjoyed it for what it was. Okay, it did kept me entertained and made me laugh at certain parts, especially when they're teaching Chappie how to be a gangster and stuff, and they show them actually jacking people in cars. That part's hilarious. Okay, and the ending is sort of weird, but I won't go there and tell you what it is. But you go see for yourself. Anyway, a 7 out of 10 for that. Anyway, let me know what you think. Have you seen these two movies? Feel free to leave comments down below. This is Trepacer saying so long and take care.